So the world of info products is filled with your latest scam, FTC claim, and CoffeeZilla making a video about the new guru. And honestly, I think most of that is justified. You see, I've spent the past 4 years being in masterminds and scaling companies inside of this industry, and I've seen the worst of it. And today I want to talk about this strategy that helped me grow my course business to multi-seven figures that comes directly from Elon Musk. And if Elon Musk were to grow your course business, I believe this is exactly what he would do himself. So I heard this for the first time inside of an interview with him and Joe Rogan. And he was telling Joe about this really just core principle they live by inside of Tesla. And it's that input is air. Input is air. He was telling Joe, if anyone gets into a Tesla and has to tell it what music to play, what temperature they want the air to be at, where they're going, or anything at all, that it's air on the side of the car, right? Their goal at Tesla is to make a machine that you get into and every single decision is already made for you because it knows what decisions you would have made. And it was crazy to think about the amount of engineering and just craziness. I don't even know what goes into building something like that. And I thought about, man, why are info products not thought about in that way? You see, so many people inside of the world of info products sell because they can, not because they should. And they make these courses and then they complain about how their customers ask questions like, why don't you just Google it? It's like, no, why don't you make an info product that actually works, right? Why don't you make an info product that actually works? Why are people so selfish that they have to make some junk and then go out and sell it and they can't just spend the amount of time into making a good product, right? It just drives me crazy. But anyways, input is air. And I also got this kind of confirmed for me as I was listening to an interview by Bill Campbell and the CEO of Intuit from quite a few years back. And they were talking over this hour-long interview, and marketing came up, I think, 0 times. But what kept coming up was product, 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 product. And if you listen to any interview by tech CEOs and just people inside the world of big business, you often hear that word product and you very seldom hear the word marketing. I think that has a lot to be said. And inside the world of info products, it's often the complete opposite. You see, I've been in masterminds that cost $50,000 a year to be in, and it's marketing, 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 which I love as much as the next guy, but product comes up almost 0. So how do we make a product that actually gets great results? Another example of this is Jeff Bezos. He, notoriously back in the day before they had free 2-day shipping, was thinking about this. And the 2-day shipping or giving free shipping to all their customers at the time, I think would have been like $10 million, right? $10 million a year. And he thought I could either spend $10 million a year in advertising to get customers, or I could just take a bet, give free shipping to all our current customers, and I think they'll tell enough people to make up for it and we'll get more customers than we would have if we were advertising, right? So they took their advertising budget and put it into making a better product. And I think a lot of times if we were to do the same thing inside of the world of info products, our businesses would scale and we'd have better products, better flywheels, and we'd grow. So the way we thought about this at our last info product was, how do we make a conveyor belt of results where if anybody comes in, they leave getting the result that they came for with almost no input on their end, right? This was like our ideal outcome where they could get on this conveyor belt and we'd almost just inject them with these things that they needed and get them to the other side where they knew the things they needed to know, they had the assets they needed to have, and they were successful at what they were trying to achieve. We thought about it in that way of a conveyor belt, and we constantly asked the question in our team meetings, how can we make this thing a conveyor belt of results? Although we didn't get there, we got a lot closer than we would have if we wouldn't have asked that question. See, I think so often people they're so like fatalistic and pessimistic with their customers. They're like, oh, those people just aren't going to use it. So they don't even try to make them use it, right? You need to, if you're going to own an info product, it is your duty, it is your moral obligation to engineer a product to the best of your ability that keeps people engaged, that gets them the result that they came for, right? Don't put it all onto the customer. If you put it all onto the customer, you're not a very good entrepreneur, right? Elon Musk would not be as successful as he was if he was like, oh, that's just stupid that people want that from Tesla. No, he goes out of his way to make a car that is better and far superior than everyone else's. Why don't people in the info space do the exact same thing? So that's one thought. And the way you do that, there's many ways to do it, right? There's an interesting book called Actionable Gamification. It's a great read. And he talks about how do you gamify products to get retention? How do you gamify products to get people to use them? And companies all across the globe are doing this. Companies like LinkedIn and different platforms all over the world, they're taking the concepts of games, of video games, of any type of game, and they're applying that into products. And I think the same thing over the next decade or so will be done inside the world of education. The people that get good at it will really yield the result of that. Number 6, data science. You see, inside the world of info products, data is almost irrelevant, right? Alex Hormozi talks about this all the time, about how they had all of their data for their clients. They knew what the average result was, how long it took people to get there. They knew their numbers so well that they could use it in their marketing and they could improve upon their products. We took that to heart when we heard that in our company, and we went out of our way to have our client success manager make an entire just tracking sheet for all of this, of every single touch point inside of our product, every single point that people could fall off, and then take a whole cohort of students and track what happens with all those students. Where are people falling off? Like, why are 13% of people falling off on this one subject? And then what can we do to gamify or to engineer something right there to keep them going through that? And when you do that, you yield the results of a lot better retention and then thus better results, which gets you more referrals, happier customers, less refunds, and so on and so forth. So think about in your products, how can I engineer this for retention? How can I keep people engaged? Do some research on the science of retention, on the science of learning, right? On the strategies in place that you can use to get people to understand what you're saying, right? Get good at telling stories that get people to go, oh my gosh, this makes sense, and then apply that into your info products. So hopefully this was some good food for thought for you. And please don't be the next person on CoffeeZilla. Spend some time on your product and make it amazing.